don't you ever see a biscuit? And then you're like, well, just eat the biscuit. And I was like, the biscuit doesn't fucking exist. The biscuit is like, there is no biscuit. It's like, fuck biscuit. I don't even, like, it's not even in my zone. I'm here in my zone. There's no biscuits in my zone. Fuck.
For years, I'm not fucking nervous. It's not the first time I saw blood.
Made it.
Finally got there.
In case he didn't show up, I made it. I made you a sort of like model of you. It's a little bit less skinny.
Ah,
Maybe
well.
if you got AIDS, but it was just in case, like a backup. We could do it like, oh no, they disappear. You can just
But why is that in your office? Are you in an office?
I'm in my office where I do most of my wanking.
our office.
I went to Tiger. Do you have a Tiger?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a shop where there's like, hey, there's some shit. It's cheap. So I don't need that, but yeah.
I need that.
So I bought this guy.
No, we all know that's the one that you explained to your therapist about where you were touched.
Yeah. I was touched here and here.
It's already it's still happening. I bought the one that had what happened already integrated.
Yeah. All intrinsically linked into the Jimmy Savile story.
Oh, mate, I saw that photo again. Did I send you the photo?
Yes, you did.
The proof. No one believed me.
Well, I'll be honest with you, Dan. It was quite early on in our friendship that you sent that to me, and it explained a lot. So I think that's why
people think my stories aren't true. Ha!
They lie.
They lie, not me.
That's why we've stayed friends, because I have that empathy.
That's it, exactly. Once he sent you that photo, you knew what you were in for.
Exactly. Yeah. You can't not be friends with a guy that was, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy Savile. Yeah, but if I was going to be touched by someone, at least it's not a nobody. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to get involved, it wants to be like a Jimmy. I mean, Michael Jackson was obviously like the pinnacle of being molested, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's top drawer, Never Never Land. Someone should have thought about, why is that happening? But
there's a bit of I can sense a bit of envy there, Dan.
Yeah, it's like just me, isn't it? Second place guy. Yeah, you've done okay with Jimmy Savile, but will you actually do anything as a pro? Like that.
Fuck my life. So it's actually good to finally get you on. And firstly, I want to apologize for myself and Dan's behavior.
No, don't apologize for me.
Shocking.
Okay, I apologize for my behavior, not for Dan's, because
I blame Johnny.
That's okay.
That's my apology.
So what happens is we end up having like an array of guests arranged, and then like one will not work out for whatever reason, pushes everyone back, and then I never have the foresight to like push the rest of them. So then we get a week, and then so we've done it to.
That was once. There's the one time where you organised more than one, or we organised more than one guest.
Yeah.
It was a new thing we were trying. Turns out, shit.
It turns out it just doesn't work.
Shit idea. Not that it worked the other 9 times trying to do it the other way. But Abe, do you need to go to bed? You can't be running, your legs fucked.
Is he walking like outside yet?
No, he's not allowed to, but he's trying to eat Ron's legs.
I mean,
hold on, 1 sec. I've got go ahead, man. Hey, get out.
I love this blur he's got going on.
He's just got a shit box of a room that he puts everything in, but instead of cleaning it, he just blurs the background.
Blurs the background.
I mean, it's a solid thing. It's like an adult version of throwing your clothes under your bed when you were a kid. You're like, yeah, Mom, I've cleaned up. But
all right.
Really, they're under your bed. Yeah.
I'm going to give you what you need. How do I do that?
What do we need? Is it something we know that we need or don't know?
Where is it?
We're going to find out.
I don't know how to turn it off.
It's just a constant blur.
That's actually just what my room looks like, actually.
Oh, okay.
Those are the things I've got in my room. No wonder things get so weird.
Pandora's box.
Yeah.
We did Abe's feeling a bit more adventurous today, but yesterday we gave him his sedatives and his food. He didn't eat his food, so we gave him the sedatives separately. And then when we weren't watching, he went and ate his food. And he was annihilated. Like, absolutely quadraspased. He was just lying down, just going, I had to go and sit down. He was like in a K-hole.
I mean, it sounds like you on an evening.
Yeah, I know, it was pretty good. When I went to the vets, I can't remember what gabapentin they gave him. And I was like, gabapentin's, and she went, don't take them.
You done. Yeah.
And I was like,
the worst thing is, she's only going to look at you to know that's what you meant.
she's seen through. And now, because she's like pointed it out, now it seems worse than I thought it was first.
Yeah.
So, like...
Which means you're definitely going to do it then.
That noise. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like when they say, they give you the drugs and they say, don't drink on them and don't drive on them. It's like, it's just trying to steal your fun.
That's it. Exactly.
Just trying to steal
your my favourite things.
Yeah, like, you're just trying to stop me from having the best time. If I take these and drink, it's going to make them better. Of course.
It's only going to end up in one thing, and that's just more fun.
Yeah, and that's just happy.
Yeah. How dare you be happy?
I don't. Hold on. What's this? Abe.
You're still trying to unblur that?
I can't do it.
No. I mean, I'm pretty sure we can move on.
Yeah, no, I'll try and do it in the background. It's fine. You just do your podcast, your little podcast. Don't worry about me. I'll be here.
Well, that's definitely not it.
Oh my god.
It's a solid look, though.
I don't. Can I turn this off now? I feel like
it's just
leave it. That's got to stay on.
Is the look?
If it's different. Let's get on with it. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. So the format, Johnny, you were just about to tell us.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome back to Bashbo's podcast. Finally, we do have Sara, IFBB Pro Women's Physique Division, one of the up-and-coming British pro bodybuilders. I shall do the usual routine. Share your
hero.
Well. Anyone who's not following Small But Mighty 20, head over, give her a follow.
And realise that you are a small, pathetic human.
Yes.
No muscle at all.
She will.
Behold the muscle of Nazareth.
She will make you feel rather insignificant.
Yes.
But
insignificant.
or just a cunt. So, usual thing. I'm not sure if you've seen our podcast before. Probably not, because you've got a life. But what we do is we ask for just a whistle-stop tour of. Oh, there's the shit show.
Yeah. See? It's fine. I've got a box for the things.
Okay.
A shelf for the thing.
The tea towels. I've got some sparkly pants.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
There's a pants.
Why didn't you wear those?
What, today?
Yeah.
Well, I'm naked on the waist down.
Oh, well.
That's how I do all the podcasts.
Just naked.
Sometimes he gets up to go to the toilet and we all laugh. And
nice.
Yeah, but it's a nervous laugh because I'm like, God, it's so massive.
It's like a penis, only smaller.
Moving on.
Oh, so do us a favor, Sara. Give us a rundown, the whistle stop tour of your career thus far and plans going forward, and then we can pick your brains.
Yeah, so I started competing in 2018. So like I've always been really sporty. So from the moment I could essentially just run, I was in sport. Like my main sport when I was younger was like athletics and football. So I played football for a long time. I did a couple trials for like the Southwest and Bristol City and stuff like that, but I wasn't that good or good enough for sort of becoming better at football, if that made sense. Like it was such a competitive portion of like growing up as a girl that I was good at football, but just not good enough to make it into Southwest or Somerset or Bristol City. So super sporty right up until I sort of got to uni, and that's when I started doing more like strength stuff. So I did a lot of powerlifting at university. I did I competed for Team GB while I was at uni doing like, I did a lot of push pull stuff. So I didn't squat because my squats were shit. So I've always been a good presser, been a good deadlifter. So thought, fuck it, we'll just go and jump into one while I was at football. Because when I was at football because I went to Gloucester University to study sports therapy. And we had a strength and conditioning coach there, and we were like, just for shits and gigs, let's jump in and do some powerlifting. Ended up being quite good at it, and then spent a year or so just powerlifting alone. Ended up doing really well, getting a couple of world records because I was like 60 kilos, 58 kilos at the time. And I think now when I think back at it, like it's pretty weak, but like my bench was like 70, 75. And then I think I managed to get my deadlift up to about 182, which wasn't too bad for a small, insignificant human that I was back then. But this was like 2017, 2018. And from there, I kind of just went through uni. I just enjoyed university as well. Like I would drink 3-4 times a week, eat shit, just do whatever. And I'm a firm believer that when you're at uni, you should do that, because there are 3 years that you should embrace as a young adult doing shit, you know? So that was university. And then when I left university, I hooked up with Tom Hames. Obviously, I've known Tom for years now, for probably 6-7 years now, but only professionally we've been working together about 3. So hooked up with Tom in 2018, and essentially we were just like, look, like we'll just do a mini cut, see how we get on with it. And then that led to my first show in PCA, and that was, I can't remember, it was the London show, and I did trained figure then. So I placed first in my class, and then I won the overall at London. And then I went on to do the PCA British and came third at PCA British. I think Michelle Ines won that year, and she's an incredible woman. I know she's an IFBB now, but I don't think she's an active IFBB women's physique. Do you reckon?
What?
No, I don't know.
I don't know whether it's common knowledge, but yes. But which one? Ooh.
cover your tracks, man. Cover your tracks.
Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. No, but she was badass when I competed against her, so it'd be cool if she does get back on the scene.
I'm pretty sure. The first time you did your first show, the first time I saw a photo of you was because you were with Max Muscle for a bit, weren't you?
I was, yeah. So like Anth Bales got in contact with me like just after my first show, and I was like one of his ambassadors.
Yeah.
For a while, and obviously that kind of just fizzled out. And then obviously, yeah, London, did British, and then from the British, I realised that I wanted to do women's physique. I've always wanted to be a bigger girl. Like I'm very much all or nothing. So like when a huge role model of mine is Dana Lynn Bailey. So when I saw her win the Olympia, and I think it was like 2011, 2012, I thought, fuck me, I want to look like that. And obviously that was when the physique girls were quite small. So yeah, I looked at that and I wanted to be like her. And when I did the stage stuff and saw how I sat on stage and how I looked, I was like, fuck this, I'm just going to go straight to physique, because I've always been naturally a bigger girl anyway. So I thought, I will just give it a go, and had a 2-year off season. I can't remember how much weight we put on, but it was obviously enough to be competitive within physique. And then started prepping, and then we did our first 2 bro show, which was La Familia. Obviously won my class, won the overall, and then went on to 2 bros British finals, and won my class and won the overall, and then obviously became an IFBB pro.
Just like that.
Yeah, like, just bam, bam, bam.
Barely even tasted any loss.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like something I've struggled with recently with everything going on, like with the ARNOLDS announcement and stuff. Like I've never lost, so it's kind of like I'm trying to learn how to lose, and I'm not like I'm a dick with losing, but like it's weird because I've never really lost. So it's kind of
I've lost loads of times, and I'm still shit at losing. So don't worry about it.
Still rubbish.
Losing's my game.
Love losing. I go to lose, not to win.
That's my shit. Well, the thing is, it's like you leveled up so fast to the pro league. It's like usually there are some bits. You go and do a show, like say you win regional, then you go and do national, and then usually you take a hit at national and then come back the next year and stuff. Certainly was the case, like in the UK BFF days, people would be pounding that national show over and over again, and like taking those lessons and stuff like that. But I think it's actually probably more commendable that you still advanced so incredibly without actually having the fire under your ass of like getting smashed. Like, I found that like taking a hit was actually more motivating. Than taking a win. So I think it actually like says something about your character that it's actually you rather than the win.
I mean, like, as cliche as this sounds, like, it's like bodybuilding essentially like saved my life. Like, it's been a huge portion of my life ever since, like, I lost my mum when I was quite young. And from that, I kind of spiraled into a really bad place because I lost her when I was like 10 years old. And like a year later, I got really badly, like my mental health was just all over the place. I'm to be honest, like, I'm super lucky to be here just through the counseling and the therapy I had and the gym. It gave me a purpose, and that purpose is what keeps me alive, being on this earth to be a bodybuilder, because I'm a firm believer that we're on this planet for a purpose, and my purpose is to bodybuild. So like, even if I was to win or lose, I would still be where I am today, because I just thrive, no matter what happens, what the outcome is. I just love bodybuilding to a point where it's my life 365 days, 24/7, you know? So like, even if I lost, I would still be pushing where I am now.
And you found it as well, because everyone's here for a purpose. So many don't actually find what it is.
Yeah. I mean, the minute I stood on stage, I was like, back in 2018, I was like, look, I know now that this is what I need to do. And
this is my shit.
Yeah,
I remember seeing it and sending it, and me and Amp were talking about it, just being like, "What? This is going to be fucking nuts," and it didn't take fucking long, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, the conditioning as well, which is arguably harder for a female, like when you won your pro card, was disgusting.
It felt disgusting as well.
I
just couldn't sit on anything.
I know what it feels like, and it's just that's when it's beyond prep, and it's just a mental, like, you have to be unhinged.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was weird. Like, when I did my first prep, I obviously, it was like, it's all so new, isn't it? Like, your first prep, like, my attention to food was really high, my food focus, my cravings were like unbelievable in my first prep. And then when it came to prepping again for last year, I just was just numb for the entire thing. Like, I didn't really have any cravings. I didn't want food. I just wanted the win. And like, I think being able to emotionally detach yourself is definitely a positive thing when you need to get into that kind of condition, because you just can't, you can't have emotion. I mean, admittedly, by the end of it, because I put so much pressure on myself because I wanted it so bad, I did get pretty emotional. But I think it's just because you're so drained from being like, I just get super intense at the end of a prep because of how I feel, and my love and my want to be better and my want to win. But for the majority of it, I did just have to emotionally detach myself from just everything. And that was quite a new feeling for me in that first prep. But obviously it worked out well, and we managed to get in the condition that we achieved.
Well, obviously you had the show and you realized it was for you. Then you structured your food, and food became nothing, became a means to an end, right?
Yeah,
so
for
you're
sure.
no longer eating because it's fun or something like that. Everything has a purpose, and I do find if you invite that into your life and stuff like that, and remove that like emotional response to food, like, your preps will be easier because you haven't got that like that thing of like having food. So many people have this ingrained food thing, whether it's having, you know, family meals or whatever, this social aspect around food. It takes time to like get past that. But then when prep comes, if you've had an off season, it doesn't really revolve around it. It doesn't really a thing. You don't really like it. All your food's so high that you fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Then when it comes to prep, you're just like, fuck the biscuit.
Yeah.
Fuck the biscuit. Fuck the biscuit.
Yeah, that's it exactly, isn't it? Like, I mean, even though like with this off season between my obviously turning pro and my pro debut, me and Tom have approached it with like a macros approach. I've always had a meal plan, but this time around we were like, let's just do macros, so I have the variety of foods and things like that. And even with that variety, I'm still eating exactly what he would give me. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I don't really feel the need to have anything else.
Well, it takes a certain person to do that, and I think that's how some people can be trusted with macros. Generally, I don't think it's a good plan.
Yeah.
Look at people who are like, if I eat this Mars bar, then
health.
health. I save all my macros to the evening meal.
Yeah, that's it.
It's also, it's actually astonishing how many people, when you say 100 grams of carbs to someone, that thinks that means like 100 grams of a type of carb. Like some of them are still that slow that you say 100 grams of carbs and they get like, okay, so I'll have 100 grams of rice. Like, so no, that's not 100 grams of carbs.
That's how it works, love.
But unfortunately, there are still plenty of those out there.
Don't do that with potato.
No, because you want to fuck all.
You're gonna be fine.
No.
Fucking eating kilos of potatoes.
25 grams of carbs, isn't it? Anyway, so we've touched on it. Let me just bring it up on the screen. So people, Dan, don't be touching on things. This shit show.
This shit.
Controversial subject.
You tried to brush over it. Well, I want to hear all this twat.
So obviously, like, so I've been crying for at least 24 hours solid about this. Just because when I applied for it, I was almost certain, without sounding like a cocky twat, but like I was almost certain that I would be in that list because of how much of an impact I had last year, just from people that have spoken to me, the promoters from Two Bros, no hate on Two Bros, but admittedly, like the promoters from Two Bros gave me a great response to how I was on stage, and with the conditioning and things like that I brought, I thought I was up there, regardless whether it was my pro debut or not. So, you know, I hyped up and said, look, I'm pretty much in. Heard a few little rumors that made me think even more that I had a chance, and the list got released. And obviously there's one British in there who's not even British, she's Italian. No hate on her, but really she's not British through and through. So for a UK show to have 50% British girl, it's kind of like a kick in the dick. Like, we have some amazing talent in this country, like Gemma Lancaster, like we were talking about it, and like a Romana Scottson, who obviously I have my WPD podcast with, and obviously the up and coming women's physique girls. We're not given a chance. Like, even if it is our pro debut, then it doesn't matter. We should be given that chance to go and stand on one of the most prestigious stages in the world. Like, and then it's just one of these things that once someone commented, oh yeah, but there's 26 other shows in the world that WPD is a part of. But what people don't realize is not all of us can afford to travel. So you've got these girls that are turning pro, but being like, oh, you need to go to Europe or you need to go to the States. They're a new pro and they won't have sponsorships. They won't have money. So how are they going to go and make their pro debut if they can't travel and afford? Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm very lucky in the fact that I'm very good with money. I've saved quite a lot and I can afford to go to the States to make my pro debut because that's what I want to pro debut. But these new pros that have just come on the scenes, they're not going to be able to afford it because they're waiting for sponsorships and waiting to be able to save some money to go and travel. And I think a lot of people don't understand that is women's physique is an amazing category. And it's something that I want to push and try and get more exposure to because we deserve it. But for someone to turn around and be like, oh, there's other shows, you can do them. That's not the point, really.
Let's not get away from the fact that it's a British show.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, if someone was like, oh, but the Arnolds, it's a worldwide show, it's a national show. Yeah, but it's in the UK. It's the UK Arnolds.
How are people not getting this? It's here. It's in the fucking UK.
But
it's not really in the UK because no, it is.
If you look at the American Arnolds, the percentage of Americans doing that.
Yeah.
I know it's not fair because obviously there's probably, in terms of IFBB pros, there's probably a larger number of American athletes, etc. But there should be some, you know, it is what it is. It's a British show. There should be some, you know, sort of agreement really between everyone within the bodybuilding fraternity that as a British show, they're going to have a bias towards picking British athletes.
It's not like we haven't had British pro shows here for long. That we had the British Grand Prix for a bit. It came and made a little tinkle back in like 2012 again. And then it's like, where are our pro shows? Oh, this one. Well, don't do them though.
That's it exactly. And it's just, you know, and we were sat there a few days before, a few like Romana and Deborah Baker, who's coming up, she's an amateur in WPD, and we were like, look, okay, looking through the categories, there's at least 3 to 5 Brits, right? So we're pretty much in for this. So you've got Gemma Lancaster, me, Romana, who are really the only active physique pros in the UK at the moment. And Anita, I think it's like Anita Tarek. I can't really say her name, but she's an active WPD girl. And then just have that one, it's kind of like, oh, okay. Because I'm almost sure, like, again, not to sound big-headed, but I think there's some physiques on that stage that I could beat, undoubtedly. And I'm not given the chance because there's some politics somewhere that doesn't allow us or myself to compete because it's my pro debut, maybe, even though there are people in other categories that haven't made their pro debut yet. Or you've got, no hate on him, but Cuba in Classic. Like, how does that make any sense? Do you know what I mean? Like, he's never been in Classic. So why is he in Classic this year?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, there's not a rule, so it's hard to figure out, and you don't get the answer, and that's probably the most frustrating thing. If they were able to give you an actual answer, which you're never going to get, then the rest is just speculation, isn't it? And you'll just have to, you know, you'll be back round where they'll be asking you to. So
well,
I wouldn't worry about it too much. But it is weird that we wouldn't want to be promoting our own. I know that maybe some of the promoters of Arnold involved are internationally minded. But yeah, we should try and pull some weight. It's not like we've got other pro shows, is it?
Why is it limited to only 12 then?
I don't actually know. Someone asked me this today. Someone asked me as well why it was invite only, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe it should be invite only for amateurs, or there should be a cap for amateurs and they have to apply.
Well, they're invite only. All the Arnolds are.
What, even for amateurs?
No, not for amateurs, but all the pro Arnolds are.
Yeah, that's what I said to someone. They were like, "Oh, why is it invite only?" I was like, "Well, all the Arnolds are. You just have to apply for them." But
all right. Well, let's try and move to a positive note. Have we got any nice questions?
No, in actual fact, we didn't, because we messed everyone around saying that Sara was coming on. Then
no one asked anything.
So
did anyone ask why are you doing this? Why have you said that she's coming on and she's not?
Well, that is that. So I've got a question. I want to take you back to obviously the powerlifting stuff. So obviously, just to make other people feel a bit more insignificant, I'm assuming your strength has improved as you've gotten bigger.
Yeah.
And I'm just interested to hear some of your bigger lifts now. I've seen you handling some big weights. I mean, I guess that tissue doesn't come on by mistake, but just interested in sort of some of the bigger lifts, the more, sort of impressive stuff that would help these guys with insecurities feel even worse.
One thing that I'm really strong in with is my pressing. Like, I've always been a really weirdly strong presser. Like, the other day I did the 50s for like 5 or 6 reps in the gym the other day on a low incline dumbbell press. And then I think like yesterday or the day before I did an 80 kilo dumbbell unilateral row, just because I'm just weirdly strong. I'm like Mong strong for some weird reason. Like, and I just, obviously, like, I don't have like set lifts of every day. Every session I do in my training is different. I've always trained like that. I've done the logbook thing, and it's never really, maybe it worked, but I like going into each session differently. But those are just a couple of my like main lifts. Like, for example, like, I'll keep in a dumbbell press if I fancy just throwing it in there for like 4 or 6 weeks, but that's not very often. And that's why my dumbbell press went quite well, because I was pushing it for a while and I just managed to get 50 for 6. It's just just one of those things. Like,
what's your body weight at the moment?
So I'm currently at like 78 kilos.
How tall?
What's that?
How tall?
5'4".
That's fucking bonkers.
So do you, when you're planning your training, do you go in, although you like mix up, do you go in and just actually freestyle it whilst you're there?
Pretty much. I mean, a lot of my training is done under a guy called Connor McMillan, who's based at SUPS in Weston-super-Mare. And I've been working with Connor for like 3 years now, 2-3 years. And a lot of my training, he just takes hold of. So I'll just go into a session and he'll just do it for me. And like a lot of people say, like, why do you need a coach for training? Why? And I like to go in there and not think. I like him to just be like doing this, doing this, doing this, and then I can just execute. I just have to think about pushing it and pushing myself through the exercises. I mean, obviously we've got our staples. Like I do a lot of rowing, I do like to do a lot of pressing for chest, and like for shoulders, it's more like isolation movements, like lateral raises and things like that. I hardly really press for shoulders. So each session is similar but different, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. So you usually have like a set like amount of exercises and a rep range that you'll be working with?
Yeah, normally, yeah. I mean, like the heavier sort of like the rows and the more compound movements will be probably a lower weight, higher weights or in lower reps, and a lot of the isolation work is a lot of higher work.
Yeah. So you're doing like the metabolic work on the more ISO stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense.
Makes sense. But yeah, like I think for things like shoulders, that the higher rep schemes are what was growing my shoulders. Like for me, if I press, my triceps just take over because my arms are so dominant. Like even if I look at a dumbbell and think biceps, my biceps grow. So there's no point me doing like a press when my triceps are just going to do the work. So, I mean, we throw them in from time to time, but like at the end where my shoulders are already fatigued. But like if I was to do a heavy press, it would just be all my triceps. So we just mainly do a lot of isolation work because that's how my shoulders react and respond well.
Well, the engagement from like the lateral head of the shoulders shit was pressing anyway, really. And I've never understood a front raise really when you're doing like the benching and the inclining and stuff like that. It's like you're definitely getting hit enough there, unless they're particularly weak.
Well, I just looked on your profile. That 240 Smith machine squat drop set. Like, how does that not even crush your spine? Like, you know
I've done a 220 box squat before as like a free barbell, not a Smith squat, and that felt like it was going to crush me. But it's all fun and games, isn't it? If you're not scared,
fuck me, 240 kilos on it's like on 70 kilos. That's all relative. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
When I'm squatting heavy, I'm like 120, 130 kilo. Do you know what I mean? And that's just bonkers. But I guess that's why you're holding the tissue that you're holding. You're not afraid of that stuff.
Yeah, I think like I do put a lot down to a lot of heavy work and a lot of volume work. Like the heavy's the heavy and the volume's the volume. Like obviously with Connor, he's very much we will lift heavy until we can't lift heavy anymore. And I think like that's how I built a lot of my leg tissue, is just from doing heavy as fuck stuff. Like I did a post the other day about, glute work, and a lot of people do isolation work for glutes, like to grow them. But I'm a firm believer that you have to just fucking annihilate them with heavy lifts, like heavy squat variants. Like in that post, I said, look, like people don't understand that the main movement of glute max is hip extension, isn't it? Obviously external rotation as well, but the glute max is a hugely powerful muscle. So it should be trained like it. It should be trained under heavy load. And instead of doing your shitty kickbacks for 15, 20 reps, just do some heavy fucking squats for six.
You didn't fancy throwing a little band around your legs to...
No.
I think it's the same. Everyone's growing the big asses and stuff. It should be approached in the same way. You do the heavy shit and then you do metabolic flush stuff if that's what you want to do. And actually, you can do it in reverse if your connection's poor. But people seem to think, they want something more from something. I should change how I train. Yeah, because it doesn't make any sense. It's exactly the same way. I think a lot of people, why they don't get a lot out of like big squats and stuff like that, is because the maximum kind of result that you're going to get is by going low enough. Like if you're doing a quarter rep or a half rep, your glutes aren't going to take you're not going to. Shut up, Abe! You put me off. I'm trying to do a podcast. Dog's throwing me right off with his moaning. You're going to stretch that muscle a lot more. Do you remember there was the thing where everyone was doing squatting and then tilting their pelvis in so that there was no tension anywhere? That was my favourite. And they're like,
what was that?
People were doing the squat. You're not seeing it like the Insta girls. They do the squat and then you'd see them and they push their pelvis forward.
Oh yeah, and it's like they go into like a massive tilt on the
and it's like but I can feel it. And I was like, okay, but take the weight off. Can you still feel it doing it? It's not doing anything. It's not
just crushing your spine.
You're just squeezing. I mean, it's good for like getting bummed protection. Like if you were to get bummed, you could do that, and then you probably wouldn't get bummed. But other than that, all you're doing is just asking for an injury.
Yeah.
It was that video that went viral, wasn't there, of that woman who was putting like just electric pads on her ass and claiming that it was equivalent to 1,500 squats or some shit, and that's the way to grow your glutes. Okay,
Mate, if something sounds too good to be true,
That's it.
I mean, the worst thing is, though, people believe this shit. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you've just got to look at Sara's physique and see the lift she's doing. That's how you add muscle. I mean, it's the same same principle for men, really. You look at the
There's nothing different. There's nothing different. I don't know why anyone thinks.
But I mean, I think women seem to have this mindset that it's different. It's different for them, and they don't need to do it. But in reality, you can see a physique that is holding tissue down to hard work. Two very different physiques, you know.
And
I think that's like on my run up to La Familia, I kept, obviously it wasn't that fucking heavy because I was 20 kilos lighter, but like I kept that intensity of training right up through peak week, probably till the Wednesday before show. And I think that's what helped with my condition, was because my intensity never dropped. And I put that all down to having Connor, because he literally just, I think there was one day where we were doing legs. It must have been 2 weeks out, and we were supersetting. I think it must have been the leg extension with a belt squat. And I was so tired that he would just carry me between exercises because I just couldn't walk. So he would just, we would just keep going, and he would just carry me between exercises. And it worked because I thought that was my best look of the season. And I think people tend to drop off, don't they, when they're tired and fatigued. And I honestly think having someone like Connor and having that sort of drive and the intensity kept at that level throughout prep made a huge difference to my physique.
And you have someone who gives a fuck about your progress, probably more than their own, which is obviously something a lot of people can't rely on, even training partners and stuff like that. It's so hard to come across someone that will work and put their focus into you, especially in a prep situation. It's near impossible.
That's it, exactly.
Do that. So
I mean, I owe a lot to Tom and to Connor, and Connor has taught me not only to, train hard, but he's taught me how to get my mental focus where it needs to be for sets like those Smith squats. Like, he's taught me what real intensity is, because he's the same as me. He will keep going and going until he bleeds, you know what I mean? And that's how we connect on a level, because we both get each other. I mean, Connor's been working with me for so long now that if I walk in a slightly different way, he'll know exactly how I'm feeling and know exactly how to approach the session, and that you don't find that with certain people is you don't find that connection. And me and Connor connect really well, and he knows exactly how far he can push me on certain days and certain exercises. And I think that's one of my prime keys to the physique I have today.
Well, I think that's as well. You were lucky to find these people quite early on.
Yeah.
There's also another reason you have to build that. Like, people go from one coach, they try something, it doesn't work, or whatever. Yeah. If you have the relationship where you get on with them and you can actually learn together, so that you're in tune. That's actually where the magic happens. There's no magic coach that's going to just have this magic thing and apply it to you, because everyone's different. They need to know how you actually work.
Yeah,
so obviously
exactly.
You've got that team behind you that probably know you better than you do when you're deep, because like you said, you can just be a robot, and that's a luxury. I see a lot of people, they go in the pro, they want to talk about it all the time, they want to do it like that. If you've got the luxury of being able to turn off and just give it to someone else, just fucking do that.
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
I just wanted to quickly flash this up on the screen just for anyone watching, just only because I think it's relative, really. You've only got to look at the level of suffering that's gone into that. And it's just, I guess that transposes into every aspect. I can imagine that you've got some pretty fucking gnarly training sessions in, based on the dark places you've gone to get to that condition, which has my utmost respect, because there's definitely, and that's across the board in the gym. You just don't see it these days,
Yeah,
I think you get into the deep sessions and you're in prep, and there is the possibility that you'll push too hard and it'll be counterproductive. But I don't think it's as close to most people that they think it is. We talk a lot about R&R and bullshit like this, and all of this fatigue and deloads and all this sort of stuff. And it's those are a thing. I just don't think that you're that
Yeah.
you're actually hitting. And the number one way that you'll keep tissue is to keep signaling your body it needs to cut something else that isn't muscle, and it needs a fucking good reason to pick fat over muscle, because from a survival perspective, it makes much more sense to hold fat than it does muscle. So you've got to give it a good reason to pick that. You know, obviously it's not there. It doesn't have a consciousness. I'm not saying that. I'm going to get picked up by some fucking clever cunt in the comments. But like, you've got to signal the muscle that you need to stick around because I'm going to keep beasting the shit out of you.
Yeah.
If you let off at that point, it's over.
That's it.
So another thing, I wanted to give you a chance, obviously, to plug your podcast.
Yeah.
Only watch it if you watch this one first.
Well, they've got to have watched this 40 minutes deep.
Yeah, we'll have some sort of link thing where it blocks yours.
Yeah.
You have to go through. It's like a PlayStation game.
So me, Romana Scottson, and Deborah Baker we're all part of Team Evolution. We all sort of met through Tom. And Romana is an IFBB Pro figure girl, but she's moving into women's physique. Just because she's got an unbelievable structure, she's got a density to her physique that's none other, and she would fit really nicely in physique. And obviously Deb is going for her pro card this year. She's got a qualifier in 4 weeks' time with Two Bros, and we essentially got together and said, look, we need to expose women's physique like it deserves. Me and Romana went to an IFBB meeting a few weeks ago, and were told that I brought up the question, why isn't there sort of women's physique shows in the UK? And essentially we got told that there's no money in it, so they're not going to show it as much as other categories, which is fair enough. A business needs to be a business, needs to make money. And, you know, the IFBB essentially said, we'll pat your back if you pat ours. So we'll expose, if you as an athlete expose and promote Two Bros or the IFBB, then we'll promote you as an athlete. And I brought up the question, you know, why would I want to expose or promote you if you don't promote our category? So from that, obviously that's no hate on Two Bros, no hate on IFBB at all. That's just a question that I brought up in the meeting. And from there, I kind of walked out from that meeting being like, you know, I've spent my entire life being pushed to the side, being an outcast because of the way I've looked, the way I've acted, the way I've been. And to walk out from an IFBB meeting to be told that essentially women's physique isn't really an up-and-coming thing, it broke me. I was like, look, I spent my entire life being pushed to the side, turned pro, achieved 50% of my dream, the other 50% being an Olympian, to only be pushed to the side again when I've reached my IFBB status. So we all came together and thought, right, fuck that. We're going to try and put WPD back on the map. So we've been doing podcasts, been doing some content, and just trying to get women's physique out there and exposed like it deserves, because these women are fucking incredible, but they're just not given the time of day because it's not what women want to look like. Do you know what I mean? Like, no one really looks at a muscular woman nowadays, partly because of social media, and thinks, fuck yeah, I want to look like that. They want to look like these bikini girls, right? So we were like, okay, let's, you know, so we did this podcast, and it's something that comes out every Friday at 5:30. And we just talk about big girl problems, you know, categories, things like that, like shows, because obviously a lot of podcasts out there, like Fuad Abiyad's, will only focus on like only men's bodybuilding. They don't really delve into the women's portion of things. So we talk about, you know, like we did a roundup of the Pittsburgh Pro, or the I think it was like the St. Louis one, where Rachel Daniels won her class. We did a roundup of that. We had Rachel Daniels on one of our podcasts to discuss about how she went through and what the things she went through to get through to where she is now, because obviously she's a top 5 Olympian or top 10 Olympian, and she was amazing. She just completely opened up to us, and that's basically why we're doing what we're doing, is to just give people an insight into what women's physique is, and obviously to give PED advice and things like that. I've had plenty of women come up or message us three in question with, you know, is this cycle okay? Like, I've heard this rumor, this, because we want to make women feel like they're comfortable in asking other women who use, because obviously there are a lot of, no hate on like other coaches, but I've heard some horrendous stories of some coaches putting women on stupid fucking steroids that women for a start aren't supposed to be on for stupid amounts of time and stupid dosages. So for people to come up to us and ask is a privilege, because that's one reason we're doing the podcast, is to help other women who are unsure of their their routes and their advances forward. I've gained a couple of clients from it because they've seen these podcasts and they thought, fuck yeah, I want to be a women's physique. And they thought, I want to go and do an off season and grow like you guys have and be ready to jump into women's physique. I've got a client, Penny, who's competing this weekend, and she's going to come in figure, and then she's going to come up into an off season and jump into physique because she's got the potential to be a great physique girl. So it's just all about exposing women's physique as three women who love the sport and want to give it our best, so that's really why we started our podcast.
Yes, in all fairness though, I think what you're doing is basically just taking the bull by the horns, isn't it? Just if you can get that exposure, if you can push it and put it in people's faces, under their noses, then hopefully that can only be a positive thing. But it's the same thing across the bodybuilding scene at the moment. Unfortunately, the more people get involved in it, the more people want to lean towards the attainable look, or the sort of more marketable look. Even for the open men's bodybuilding, I think they only get the respect because it's almost like it's out of grandfather rights more so than anything. In reality, the bums on seats come from all the prancy classes,
Yeah. I mean, like when we did the British finals and stuff like that, obviously I'm going to be biased because I love my class, but like the women's physique, there was 3 of us on stage at one point, and like we got the most feedback from the audience because we were involved. Like I went out there and was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna have a great time. I'm gonna get everyone involved because I want everyone to be in the experience with me, because that's what we're there for. We love what we do, and if you're in this with me, then let's have fun together. It's kind of like when people pose and they don't smile, I'm like, are you just going to be miserable when you're on stage forever, or are you not going to like enjoy this moment? Like that's one thing I tell everyone to do, is just smile on stage, because you've worked so hard for 16 weeks. Like why look miserable now? You know what I mean? And I think when we were on stage, the amount of feedback we got from the audience, people stayed to watch women's physique. So like, why aren't people sort of trying to promote women's physique when we got a rendition like that at Two Bros? People loved it, but yeah, it can't be promoted anywhere else. You know what I mean? So
yeah, you're preaching to the choir. I mean, like me and Dan, obviously, we're both like super heavyweights or whatever, and women with that level of musculature and sort of and condition is massively impressive to people like us, and we, it gets the credit it deserves. But unfortunately, small-minded people and not to see it that way.
Well, it's the normal mass market thing. Someone sees a big bodybuilder and be like, well, I don't want to look like you. It's disgusting. Why would you want to look like that? And it's like, it's not for mass market. But when you then inject a company which is corporate structure, which is shareholder increase, like it has the model. It evaluates the model and it follows the point of the singular mode, which is financial gain. So it doesn't have the moral compass. It doesn't have the thing. Joe Weider would be turning in his grave, I'm sure. And that's just the way it is. But the way that you've done, shut up, Abe. I know you're injured, but you've been running around like a cock.
He's like, but Dad, fuck off.
The way that you've got to do it, you're right, is generate it. Because if you can generate the interest and you show a promise of financial gain, they will do it, because that's their model. So you have to play their model. Yeah. So I think what you're doing is the only way to do it. It's the only way to get through, to get what you want done. I personally think I see bikini girls and it's like cool. But most people like that are looking at the bodybuilding stuff, like they're sexualizing the sport, so they don't get it. Girls want to do bikini because it's like hot and like stuff like that. I want to see shit that makes me go, well, how the fuck did that happen?
Yeah,
You
sure.
know what I mean? Like, like that's nice. It's like, I've got Pornhub for nice. Like, I want to see freaks. I want to see people that make me go, how the fuck did that happen? Like, exactly. And the bodybuilding thing is the same. Like, I don't want anyone to come and go, that looks nice. I'd be so offended. Like, so. But it is like that, and you had the demonization and the promise of women's bodybuilding return and this, and it's like the flick flacking between it, and then you've got also the dialogue that Generation Iron's pumping out, where like everyone's going to die of steroids. They're going to do one line of Clarky roids and then die on a Smurf pistol, and then it's a lot of things are angling against it. There's a lot of anti-bodybuilding as a whole. And, you know, if you're thinking about the development of classes that are already under development and then throw this negativity at, you know, peds, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you've got a war on your hands.
I know, it's crazy.
Salute you.
Yeah.
If we're touching on that subject, obviously we've had Tom on.
Tom said you do 19 grams of Deca under your nipples.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that was kind of the question, really. What are some of these like obscene cycles? Obviously, you don't know names, nothing personal, but what are some of these?
What's the maddest shit you've seen a woman being asked to do?
It's not necessarily like mad, but like I've seen someone or heard someone of being on like, you know, I'm sure she wouldn't mind me saying, I won't say any names, but like, you know, 20 plus weeks of Anavar and like T3 and things like that. I think that's just fucking stupid. And then like some girl messaged us the other day and was like, look, like I've got this high dose of Anavar and my boyfriend said this is, you know, what I should be on, and obviously it's a typical boyfriend, just half the dose that he's on and you'll be fine. And she was like, yeah, it's this dose, and she was just like, and we were like, just stop, just because they're like, I'm getting all these side effects, and you're like, well, no shit, Sherlock, you're on that fucking dose. Like I think it was like over 30 mg or something stupid like that.
It was
like,
probably D-ball.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing, that a bit of a gripe that I have with this whole safe model thing is that with like there is a little bit more conversation about the peds, but I don't think it's in depth enough for people to like decipher. And so I think actually the new safe models that people are coming up with and stuff like that is actually is introducing steroids to women thinking that it's safer when they have no place taking them at all.
Yeah.
So we're in this like middle ground where the knowledge hasn't quite been built. People aren't ready to process it. Because remember, your average person thinks research is watching a YouTube video.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't have this information that, oh, safe, it's safe. You know, and that's what people, yeah, Anavar's safe. You know, and even with these low doses, micro dosing, you know, Primo and other things that are fashionable, your average moron goes, more.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. That's it.
And they haven't actually like ticked all the boxes. And this is the same for everyone, males or whatever. The icing, you know, you can't ice a shit. I mean, you can, but you know, you've got to build the cake first. So that's like so I think it's good that you're like broaching that as well, because it needs to happen. The information needs to be about what's actually happening on the ground, and also the position of when you should consider that, which is usually a lot later than people think.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Like me and Tom spoke about this on our podcast, was how some coaches think that's fine. Like how they seem to think that running a woman on like PEDs for weeks on end is safe. Like I just don't. And you think these are like top end coaches too, and you're like, where's the knowledge? Like, why are you just not bothered about their health or about the risk to them? I mean, I guess obviously when you're in prep, like your prep brain, you'll do anything. I mean, if Tom told me to eat gravel, I'd fucking eat gravel. You know what I mean? Like
that was quite nice.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, bit of salt, pepper. But yeah, like it just baffles me how some of these coaches think running women on high amounts for long periods of time is safe. And you know, these women are coming away with visualization that's going to stay with them forever.
And not only that, most of these women are coming away taking double what their coaches are telling them because they can't listen either.
Exactly, that's it. And like, you know, some of these stories of like bikini girls taking huge amounts of like, you know, cycles, and they're bikini girls. Yeah. I mean, I heard one cycle, I can't remember, it was a long time ago, but it was like more than I was taking. I don't admittedly take as much as people probably think I do. You know, like I haven't gone beyond 60 mgs of MPP ever, because we find any higher than that, and that's a week, any higher than that, and it's just completely does nothing for me, you know? And I haven't needed any more, because why, if that's my sweet spot, then why would we push any more than that?
Well, I think that's the same for everyone, and men as well. I think there is where you have to weigh it up, and for women you have to weigh it up even more, because you're weighing sterilization. Yeah, and it's not just dose, like you said, it's duration. And Tom, actually, we had Tom on here, and the takeaway that I liked from him is like, how long is a male puberty? Now, if I run hormones for the length of a male puberty, you're going to essentially go through a male puberty.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I mean, I think, you know, in an off season, I would never do a cycle for more than, I think recently we haven't done a cycle for more than 6 weeks, because I find that's safer, it's better, and I get the most out of it.
And you've only got so many 6 weeks. Because the explanation was that basically, like, they all sum up eventually. You know, it's that duration of combined time, even over the years, that's going to have those side effects that people trying to avoid. And then my other gripe is actually the female drugs that are utilised more with females are also the ones that are the most faked.
I think the most faked, yeah.
Yeah, because they're the most expensive to produce, like Primo and Anavar. You know, if you're picking up Anavar for 20 quid and that, you're probably getting Dianabol, you know, and then it's like another dangerous thing. If you're picking up Primo for 20 quid, it's probably not Primo. I've seen the raw prices, it's not happening. And then we have another layer of minefield where it's like, can you actually trust these people? They're telling you to do stuff that's stupid anyway. Then they're getting it for you. Do they really care now anyway?
Yeah.
And people are getting in trouble. And also a lot of these people, a lot of the girls that are considering these things have no place doing it in the first place.
Yeah.
And another aspect to consider as well, though, is mental health. Like, a lot of these people, like, fuck it, I'm just going to do it and worry about it later. And then I guess a lot of these people are not going to really see the after effects of this for a while. And they run in these cycles that are above what they're being advised for longer than what they're being advised, with underground labs that are typically probably not what they think it is, and not really accepting what's going to come of that. And then we'll probably play the violin somewhere later on down the line.
Yeah.
And I think that's another thing that we've not really touched on this podcast before, but I think, you know, mental health has to be an aspect of it as well, because if somebody's not in a good place and they don't particularly care about looking after themselves, they just want that instant sort of result, you know, they're not going to care about the fact that in the long term, this is going to fuck you up, because right now they're not in a good place and they don't care. So they just want to take what they got to take to get where they want to go.
Well, here's the sideline of that, is that I think that if you suffer from poor mental health, you should probably consider not using them anyway, because your hormone balance plays a huge part in your mental health. And if you're
definitely not Halo, Dan. I figured that
out. Always do Halo.
Towards the end of this last prep, I was all mixed up on that Halo, brother.
Always do Halo. I don't know what you're talking about.
Fuck my life. I've never felt so mixed up in my life.
Oh, mate, prep is a horrible zone, and Halo doesn't seem to make it.
I become a very angry man on here. I can normally keep a lid on it, but the lid came loose a few times.
So, on the PED thing, because people are going to be wondering, if you're on prep, how long do you prep for?
12 weeks.
So out of that 12, do you stay on a cycle of some sort?
So we would normally, from the 12, we would normally start with just like a fat burner, like Clen, and then we wouldn't really introduce anabolics like NPP or Anavar until 8 weeks normally. Yeah, I mean, I can't really remember. I'm pretty sure it was either 8 or 10 weeks we started like anabolics. Anavar slightly later, NPP slightly earlier. So NPP probably would have started at 10, Anavar probably about 8. I think the highest my Anavar went was 10. And then I can't even remember my NPP. I think that was 60 mgs per week as well. And then obviously, I think my Clen, Anavar 10, NPP about 60. And then my Clen was 80, I think, at one point, and then really T3 didn't go above 50, and that was it. Obviously, we used Winstrol at the end, and that was about 20 mgs for the last 10 days, but that was it. We didn't use anything else. Really? So I quite like it.
It turns my joints to dust, so it's like, that's really cool, like I'm shredded, but I can't train for 4 months.
Because I'm just as dusty zombie.
Yeah, it's just like drilling omega-3, hoping they will come back to life.
I think that's just your age, Dan.
No, because I stopped doing it about 5 years ago, and it was before I was quite as hideously old as I am now. Hey, mate, I'm gonna have you put down in a minute.
I was talking to someone at the gym, and they were still injecting the Winstrol. Like, why would somebody still be injecting Winstrol these days?
That's weird.
I just don't get it. Like, that's just like Russian roulette.
Oh, mate, you're not a man unless you've jabbed Winstrol on your quads.
I've done it back in the day before I realized how fucking dangerous it is.
You mean luscious and wonderful and beautiful?
I used to drink it. I used to put it in, like, back when I was younger and I first started bodybuilding, I thought I was hardcore as fuck. I would drink it with my aminos.
Mate, that
Love it.
I like the feel of that. I like the feel of it. Shut up, man! The fuck? Sara, we've been trying for weeks to get her on. Spent $8,000 on your new legs, and this is how you repay me.
$8,000.
$8,000.
$8,000.
Right, fuck it. Go on then, out you go.
You could have bought yourself some new legs for $8,000.
Yeah, I know, fuck me. Imagine the amount of Windsor I could have drunk.
He got pro then.
Fucking nightmare. So have you tried Primo?
Yes, I didn't get on with it.
In which manner?
I just felt nothing from it. Like, I think, well, we tried it for one prep and we were just like, nah, fuck it. We'll just use MPP because I've always used MPP and I respond really well to it. I didn't respond nearly as well to Primo, so we just removed it.
MPP is a harsher 19 category drug.
Yeah.
So did you find that you were still not gathering side effects that others may have? Because some people do. A favorite, like Renee, John Jewett's missus tried MPP at I think it was, probably 20 mgs a week microdosing, and it was too much for her. I imagine that meant her biff got massive or something. I don't know, but
nice.
I don't know. But it was too androgenic. So but you know, because everyone is different, and everyone's virilization, happens at different rates. A lot of women have high testosterone levels anyway, or you get high SHGB, which people with polycystic ovaries usually have. The inability to regulate free-flowing testosterone from that, even though their levels aren't high. Read up on it. For the viewers who are going to ask me loads of shit about that, don't shush.
Or we've got a members section for that.
Yeah, got the members.
Oh, there it is then.
Yeah. See pictures of my nutsack on there. Only Dan's.
Or where the nuts used to be.
Yeah.
A before and after picture of said
after
nut.
my virilization
so to be honest, I'm very lucky in the sense that I don't really tend to get much or many side effects. Maybe when I'm on cycle my voice is slightly more harsh, but when I come off it tends to return back to normal. I tend to get maybe a little bit more acne on my sort of jawline and my shoulders, but again that lasts. It happens more so when I come off the acne than when I'm on. But
as everything kind of returns.
Exactly, yeah. But apart from that, really, first time I used MPP, I had quite a bad, my mental health just got really shitty. I just dropped into some fucking shitty, depressing hole that I couldn't get out of. Which Tom and I assessed, and now it's all fine. I don't struggle with any sort of mental health when I'm on or off cycle, really. But apart from that, I don't really get any noticeable side effects from anything that I've used. And if I do, I just come off it.
Yeah. And that's why it's important to do the 6 week period, because actually when you're in it, you're kind of in it.
Yeah.
If you've done a 6 week block, the chances are nothing incredibly reversible is happening. You can assess.
Exactly.
Have you ever run a TRT, female TRT? Do you get blood hormone?
Yeah. So we actually introduced a TRT this year, and it was a complete game changer because I crashed quite hard after prep with my hormones all over the fucking place, and then we introduced TRT, and I felt it made such a difference to just how I was feeling. So that was something that we utilized. It was the first time I was umming and ahhing with using it because obviously TRT, women, I didn't really want to use direct testosterone, but with the doses being so low, obviously Tom and I spoke about it religiously, and I said, okay, maybe we'll give it a go. And we only run, I think now I'm running 1 mg a week, and it's making such a difference to just how I'm feeling.
Did you have a baseline to run off, or did you just pitch that and
we just pitched it?
Right, okay.
I mean, did you do blood tests later to check that was still within female range?
Yeah, so we did. I can't remember now. It was so long ago we did it, but it was my test as a female was where it should be. Obviously, it's higher now because of the TRT, but everything was where it needed to be. Yeah.
Does it take any consideration in the fact that obviously, I'm not sure how broad the spectrum is for women, but for men, obviously, it can be fairly broad. But with you being more muscular and sort of, I'm guessing your natural sort of test levels would have been marginally higher than other women's at the start?
No, mine were literally like bang on the same as any other woman. It was funny really, because the first time I did my bloods, Tom was expecting them to be higher, but they weren't. It was just like a normal range.
Just it is pure Mong strength then.
Yeah, just Mong strength really.
That's interesting.
I mean, the TRTs become like popular.
Yeah.
Now, just the advice to anyone is actually like go and check it before and after. Like, I know that sounds like it should be fucking obvious, but there is someone there being like, that's not. Yeah, it's not. And obviously, if you're a normal like person doing bikini and you think you need to do a TRT, go and check it out. And if you don't have low testosterone, don't fucking do it.
Yeah, that's it exactly.
And obviously, don't buy $250 per mil and try and like
imagine.
But I did 0.001 mil.
Yeah. But that's the whole syringe, right? Because it said point something on it. It's like the old insulin trick. It's like, no, but this one says 0 point. And I was like, yeah, no, it's of a mil. That's not IU. Oh, okay, I'm going to die. Yeah,
oh, shit.
When you bought the whole thing of insulin, did you think you should do it in 2 goes? Or did you think that was what you were paying for?
Fucking mental.
I go and eat 1,000 grams of carbs. Fast.
I know a guy who did 2 mil of insulin in his ass.
In his ass?
Christ.
Why?
Absolute moron.
Who was telling us about injecting it into his asshole?
Yeah, that was that was Tom.
That was Tom. Yeah, into his actual anus. I'm sorry, I'm all up for like doing anything. Amp tells me to do something, I'm going to do it. But the moment he tells me to inject something into my actual ring piece, I'm going to be like, you know what? I don't think this is.
I mean, I'm not even sure. Like, even if I really wanted to, I could. I think I'd like probably pass out. So I just don't.
Imagine the angle as well. Like, I struggle to just like wipe it. Like,
in my mind, there was no needle on there. It was just the syringe, and he was syringing it in. Like surely that's the only way it works.
No, I think we covered that.
I think
I think we covered that.
Anyway,
fair play to him.
Let's move on.
Fair play to him. He's probably like a pro right now, because if he was willing to do that,
either that or he's quadrispased,
or he is literally on a life plug right now. I think probably with 5 top tips, you've been very open, and we appreciate it for all our female viewers, all 3 of them.
Oh, 3. That's me, Debs, and Romana.
We have got 93% male viewers, but hopefully this will change that.
Well, hopefully, if they've got a partner that wants to get hench, maybe they won't do something stupid.
Yeah, I just think like not many women are really open about it. So if we can be open about it and start being open about it, then let's be open and let's help each other. So
I think people are scared that people talking about it will make people do it. The people that are going to do it are going to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. And by talking about it, you're sharing like actually like what's happening and what to expect and pitching something reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's so much stigma around women taking like steroids. I think some people think the minute you take a tablet, you're going to be a man. Like the next day, you're just going to wake up like a bloke. Obviously, like the risks are there, but you're not going to fucking suddenly turn into a man the next day.
Yeah. Well, we've got over the lifting weights makes you manly, and I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But do you remember the first adverts of like smoking like weed, like in America?
Yeah.
Sandra took one drag on a marijuana line. And now she's quadrispased on a life plug. Like, and there was like a picture of her like playing the trombone into someone's ass. So like, yeah. But basically, if you're thinking about doing it, think about it for another year.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Like having a shit tattoo on your face. Which I've been thinking about for a while.
I'm pretty sure Lee's meant to be back on next week.
Oh shit! Lee's starting again.
It's all right. He's not going to watch this.
No. Right, we're going to do 5 top tips.
Nice. Well, first one's obviously go and listen to our podcast because it's better than this one. And
the Sara effigies, get it.
Yeah, no, yeah, but WPD podcast is obviously watch after this one.
Right now. Right now, after the other 4.
Yeah.
Then. Watch it then, not now, then. Okay.
2, have a circle of people around you that are going to push you, not take things away from you. So I'm a firm believer in having a very strong support circle, whether that be 1 person or 5 people. Like, choose your people wisely and don't have anyone that's going to suck negativity or put negativity on you, because it's going to affect you in the long run.
Or have none.
Or have none. Just do what you want to do.
My circle's more like a sphincter.
Just me, and only me.
Damaged.
And then Dan on the side.
Dan, you're just going, no, it's fine.
Yeah,
You're
just
supposed
arguing.
to die. You're supposed to be dying.
3, find a coach that you have a healthy relationship with. So find a coach that you can have good communication with.
Not one that will send you nudes.
No.
That wasn't Dan suggesting he sends me nudes, by the way.
Well,
if you're going to send me pictures in pants, I think it's only fair.
Oh,
yeah.
Just some coaches.
Yeah, don't pretend to be in hospital. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. Moving on.
You've been lying, Mr. Dan.
No. There's a certain coach that sent photos to someone, got caught out, and then pretended to be.
We'll let you Google it.
Yeah. Anyway.
What number was that? 4. Don't compare yourself to others or social media, because social media is a wank, even though it's a necessity in this sport. Something I found out that when I started bodybuilding and before I got my pro card, I was like, social media can suck my dick. And then now I'm just much more like, I need social media. So you just have to be more like in tune with it, but you've got to make sure that you're not comparing yourself too much. Obviously, we're all human and we're all going to compare ourselves at some point, but don't let it consume you so you get so obsessed with comparing yourself to others that it affects you mentally.
And also, if you're a competitor and you're about to do your first show, look at people who have done their first show.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you've done one, then look up. There's no point like doing it and looking at like pro Olympia. Like, if you're going to try and pull comparisons, pull within your lane first. It's not have the big dream, but stepping stones. Otherwise, you're just going to, what's the fucking point? And that's exactly what those Olympians were thinking 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. And then number 5 is just be yourself, stand out, stop following the crowd, because he remembered someone that was the same as everyone else, right? That's something that I always preach is, I've never been the same as everyone else, because I don't want to be the same. I want to stand out. I want to be remembered for being different, and don't be scared to be different either, because, again, people are the same. Everyone is a carbon copy of each other nowadays. They see something on Instagram, they want to copy it. So just stand out, be yourself, love what you do, and then the only way is up, right?
I'm loving these.
Motivational Sara here.
I'm loving these.
It's actually very, very fucking true. That's the thing,
isn't it?
It is hard as well not to get sucked into the trends and all that sort of stuff and stay true. Or what if I have? Oh no, actually, I've been doing this. It's working.
Yeah.
Like, it is hard, and you can see how the masses follow through with it, chopping and changes.
It's like I don't tend to wear shorts and a crop top in the gym because I don't feel comfortable in it, and I'm not going to do it because everyone else does it. It's like the most. Imagine me in a fucking crop top and booty shorts. I'd look like a small whale. Like, there's just no point. I mean, like, imagine
you're
me.
Gonna have to come and do a leg session. And you have to.
Yeah, I'll wear a crop top and
I'll wear the same. I'll do it if you do. Rather than us dressing the same, like this.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm up for that.
All right. So.
Except Sara will have bigger legs than you, Dan. So.
It's horribly true.
The pain. Yeah.
On that bombshell.
Was that 1? Oh, I think she's got 1.
No, that was 5.
That was it.
5. Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell. They were so good. They flew by. Time flies.
He wants more. Encore.
So good.
He wants an encore.
I was applying them directly to my life immediately.
Just writing on a notepad like.
No, I'm tattooing them on my legs. I told you I was naked.
No, that's it.
I made a spelling mistake.
You're just writing "stop being a cunt."
Yeah, I've already got those tattoos. They've done nothing for me so far.
Yeah, you had to do 100 lines, and it just no.
Yeah, then I was real high, so I was making more of
the wrong lines.
Oh, right, sorry, my bad.
Oh dear.
Right. Thank you for your time. Thank you for actually being patient with us and actually coming on. You could have told us to get fucked.
We are shit.
Let us know when you've got the pro debut lined up where you're actually going to be jumping on stage. Let us know. We'll probably try and see if we can port you for another
for sure.
Catch up on how that's going and you know what the plans are. Just keep it relevant, and obviously it's been nice chatting. It's actually flown by this last hour and 50 minutes, to be fair. We try and keep them short and sharp because people don't watch past like an hour really. So but yeah, it'd be cool if we can get you on again when you've got that show picked.
Or we could do a tag team with your podcast.
Oh yes. Actually, someone said we should just merge us all together. Yes. That would be bad. That would be sick. Right.
Let's do that. Christmas special in July.
Yes.
Have to wear Christmas hats.
I would love that. That would be great. And definitely come to Trojan for that session.
Yeah, that'd be good.
We've talked about it for too long.
We have.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, lads. Yeah, thank you.
Cheers, guys.
All right. Peace.